It hurts me to say this as someone who is a fan of Control and really loved Alan Wake. In general, I would say I've become a really big fan of Remedy's games over the last few years, so it pains me to say that their new game, FBC Firebreak, is pretty terrible. FBC Firebreak is a bare bones and lackluster 3-player cooperative multiplayer shooter set in the world of Control. And it's not a bad game by the lowest standard set by Remedy, it's just bad all around. Now on paper, this game sounds like it could have all the potential in the world. Unfortunately, the elements of Control that make it special poorly translate over into a first-person cooperative shooter. One of the game's biggest problems is that the mission structures are pretty bland with tedious and repetitive combat throughout the entire game. And even if you were to compare an apple to an orange by comparing FBC Firebreak to Control, even at Control's worst, the gameplay still felt engaging and dynamic. Whereas in FBC Firebreak, I got tired of playing missions even during my first time experiencing them, only to find out that there are not a lot of missions in the game. So what you're left with is tedious and repetitive missions, bland gameplay, and a game that is overstuffed with grindy progression systems. I would go crazy grinding out unlock after unlock, playing through the game's small handful of missions. And sure, you could make the argument that with this game being on PlayStation Plus and Game Pass, the expectations can be a little bit lower. But FBC Firebreak still feels like a waste of time and effort from such an incredibly talented developer as Remedy. One of my least favorite missions in the game is a level where you have to shoot haunted post-it notes. And if you stand in the pile of post-it notes, they start to come alive around you and start to take over your field of vision. But for post-it notes, they take a lot of bullets, so you have to do things like use environmental attacks to weaken the post-it notes before you can blow them to smithereens. And even if that seems appropriate in the world of Control, it is completely boring even during the first time playing the mission. And this may sound harsh, but if you are a fan of Remedy's games and you feel like supporting them, this feels like supporting a charity case because the game simply isn't worth your time. And while this type of game may come as something out of left field for Remedy, I was still willing to give it a shot. But at the end of the day, FBC Firebreak is a tedious and repetitive, boring first-person cooperative shooter, and none of those are words that I would like to use to describe games made by the great folks over at Remedy.